Well, good morning, everyone. Also, happy Friday, right? So, I'm Dr. Michael Akins, and I lead economic development at Tennessee Tech University. I'm also the founding director of the Center for Rural Innovation and the chair of our university's Rural Reimagined Grand Challenge. At Tennessee Tech, our vision is to leverage the collective talents of the university in an effort to transform rural living through science, technology, innovation, and economic development, all to position our rural communities to be competitive in the long term. Our vision for a bright Tennessee future is a connected rural innovation ecosystem, increasing prosperity and reducing distress. Our mission is to enable all students, all faculty, and all community members to collaboratively examine and address rural issues in a way that can be replicable and scalable throughout the state, the nation, and even the world. And I'm extremely proud to let you know that not only are we accomplishing the vision and mission, but Rural Reimagined grows exponentially every single day. And while I'm here to tell you about a few of our key initiatives, my true objective is to provide you with the knowledge that we've gained in the rural trenches for well over 8 years. So for a bit of background, the Center for Rural Innovation and Rural Reimagined have conducted over 900 projects in a total of 70 rural, distressed, and at-risk counties across the state, ranging from energy, mobility, critical infrastructure, to poverty alleviation, small business development, tourism, public safety, agriculture, and so much more. I want to personally commend Governor Lee on his first executive order serving rural Tennessee and his commitment to rural communities throughout his governorship. I also thank him for continuing the funding and resources to Rural Reimagined, as well as his and our State Department's numerous rural initiatives across the state. Without his support, Tennessee and rural Tennessee would not be where we are today. Further, it brings me great sense of pride that rural issues are at the forefront of both state and federal priorities. Never before has there been so much focus, resources, and funding to provide rural communities with a hand up, not a handout. As it stands, Tennessee is making broad strides in rural transformation and increasing resiliency between connectivity, particularly broadband proliferation, encouraging research and development, and now addressing energy, mobility, and advanced manufacturing in a strategic manner. This, of course, is the right thing to do, but it also must be done the right way. So what is the right way? What we've learned at Tennessee Tech is that when creating a tech continuum, everything you must do must be holistic, it must be collaborative, and it must be approached with an empathetic manner. And it all starts with active listening, effective communication, and immersing ourselves directly within the fabric of the rural communities that we serve. At Tennessee Tech, we've developed what we call a community immersion mechanism. It's a strategic and calculated approach to engaging communities and initiating tech and research-based initiatives, and in many ways, it resembles design thinking. It starts with empathy and understanding the local and regional context, and then proceeds to implementation, iteration, assessment, and continual improvement. When establishing connections with a community, the very first thing that I do is I tell them we truly don't have all the answers. While we do have potential solutions to challenges they face, such as high-skill, high-tech workforce, creating jobs, and improving their infrastructure and energy, we want to first understand their perspectives. And together, we'll collaborate to catalyze a robust, successful transformation. An important first step for us is to enter the community alongside a community champion that can vouch for our authenticity in wanting to help their community. I cannot stress enough how critical authenticity is when working with a community. As human beings, we all know when we're being sold something. And trust me, rural communities rightfully have a deep sense of pride and trust within their residents and leaders, but they're also correctly wary and sensitive of outsiders, particularly us from higher education and the high-tech folks that have something that could potentially change their way of life and community. We, of course, want to bring innovation and prosperity that will ultimately affect positive change in their community, or at least that's our opinion of our initiatives. But their interpretation of what we are offering may be completely different, and we must be aware. We must be empathetic to their point of view, because ultimately it is up to us to immerse ourselves into the community, establish trust, display authenticity, effectively communicate, and make good on our intentions and promises. I also want to vehemently state that to become competitive long-term, rural communities must have sustainable, solid economic foundations that must be in progress before we can implement higher order objectives, particularly energy and mobility. Without addressing these core economic development issues as we begin to implement innovation ecosystems, no matter how transformative, no matter how innovative, and no matter how pro-competition we believe our initiatives are, they simply won't work unless the entire local, rural context is considered and that we have support from the people that we seek to help. I liken it to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. To be competitive, the traditional aspects of economic development must be in place. The things we all know: water, infrastructure, workforce, education, childcare, small business, poverty alleviation, and drug mitigation. I charge you to remember these aspects when working with these communities, and as a part of active listening and empathy, be sure to investigate these aspects as you begin your immersion. Now, Tennessee Tech is heavily involved in each of these critical rural issues, and we can help you with these as well. Anyone in the audience that wants to know more about how we approach these issues in collaboration with public and private entities, particularly the state departments of Economic and Community Development, Tourist Development, Labor and Workforce, as well as many development districts, local leaders, and very soon, Plug and Play, plus many, many more. Please reach out to me. It truly does take a village. So let's transition over. Let's talk about some of the things that we do. Unfortunately, I only have 15 minutes today, and rest assured I could spend at least 15 hours on the topic. So I've narrowed the focus to 2 banner projects that catalyze the mobility, energy, and manufacturing sector. Let's first discuss energy. Tennessee Tech, as many of you all know, is a critical leader in electrical engineering research and education. One of our shining examples is the Center for Energy Systems Research, or CESR for short. CESR is an accomplished center of excellence that is engaged in research and education, established to advance and apply scientific and engineering knowledge associated with energy systems and infrastructure. Together, the Center for Rural Innovation and CESR have teamed up to address the aging energy grid infrastructure in rural Appalachia, with outcomes to establish a manufacturing and supply chain for utility-scale batteries and distributed energy resources. This project is funded by a $20 million Appalachian Regional Commission ARISE grant, titled the Multi-State Smart Grid Deployment Consortium. The core problem that we seek to address is that electric utilities in rural Appalachia are under pressure to modernize their electrical grids. However, modernization is a daunting challenge for these rural electric utilities. This pressure comes from various stakeholders, including customers, regulators, environmentalists, and industry competitors. Grid modernization, as many of you all know, entails integrating the conventional grid with cutting-edge technologies such as EV charging stations, large-scale battery storage, solar and wind generation, just to name a few. However, many electric utilities find themselves navigating the complex landscape of grid modernization. Questions about deploying smart grid technologies and the optimal timing for implementation are top of mind for decision makers. Our solution is the Hilltop Grid Modeling Platform, a purpose-built answer to these modernization questions and challenges. Deployed by university collaborators, Hilltop assesses interoperability and scalability, offering utilities confidence in deploying these technologies effectively and economically. Hilltop acts as a virtual safe space, testing and modeling new technologies for utilities, and will provide generative data for companies who are developing smart grid technologies. It also aids in capital planning, procurement assistance, and asset management. It is important to note that Hilltop goes way beyond just generic grid modeling. It creates a custom model of the utility's actual grid infrastructure, providing realistic results and solutions that are customized to each client's specific business and deployment needs. In addition to grid modernization, Hilltop will bring substantial benefits to the Appalachian region. Our vision is that the region can become a hub for manufacturing new battery and smart grid technologies, which fosters regional supply chains. Hilltop's realistic modeling is the key, and comparing conventional lithium-ion batteries to newer technologies such as those using iron, sodium, and ethane, which is in abundance in the Appalachian region. Moreover, by embracing smart grid advancements in for electric utilities, we can hedge against potential rate increases, ensuring a more stable and robust, predictable cost environment for consumers. As the region adopts grid modernization, there will be a ripple effect of economic impacts. particularly in the development of manufacturing capabilities and supply chain ecosystems. In addition to the ARISE project, CSER and the Center for Rural Innovation collaborate on numerous initiatives to address energy and infrastructure within the rural context. But for time constraints, I want to move on to highlight one of our many efforts within mobility, specifically our DOE project, Building an EV Ecosystem and Green Economy for Transforming Lives in Economically Distressed Appalachia. Appalachia, as many of you all know, has more than 182 counties that are designated as economically distressed or at risk, the majority of which are in 5 states, including Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Virginia, and Tennessee. With the rise of clean energy economy around EVs, the rural and low-income communities in central Appalachia have struggled the most in the transition, due largely in part to lack of EV infrastructure, low awareness, and limited to no access to EVs and clean energy jobs in the EV sector. To overcome these barriers, the project objective is to build the underpinnings of a comprehensive EV ecosystem and green economy in the most economically distressed Appalachian regions, and to transform the lives of rural and low-income communities through strong regional collaboration. This project aims to provide clean and affordable mobility options to the underserved communities by developing needed charging infrastructure and adopting and demonstrating various cost-effective EVs in diverse applications. In addition, by partnering with a broad set of EV stakeholders, this project aims to create outreach, training and education opportunities to the residents to kickstart their electric vehicle adoption and clean energy job opportunities where it is needed the most. Our broad impacts include helping rural residents, fleet owners, and government agencies jumpstart their EV adoption, supporting a smooth transition from fossil fuel-based economy to clean energy economy, and creating new job opportunities in the EV sector. We're also reducing fossil fuel consumption and greenhouse gas emissions and improving fuel diversity, environmental quality, and public health in rural areas. Facilitating collaborative opportunities between universities, automotive EV OEMs, EV charging station suppliers, and other stakeholders for training and engineers to serve in the rapidly growing EV industry. My favorite part of this project is that it supplements the bipartisan infrastructure law by placing EV chargers free of cost, or charge if you like puns, to strategically identified rural downtown areas that will not immediately benefit from the infrastructure law. By placing the chargers in downtown areas in far proximity to interstate and urban charging networks, tourists are far more likely to visit these communities with a peace of mind that they can charge their car while there. And of course, charging an EV takes longer than a simple petrol fill-up at the gas station in most cases. The charging may, even take an hour or two. And what better opportunity for the tourist to explore the downtown area while charging, eating in the restaurants, shopping in the local retailers. These chargers not only provide convenience, they provide literal, tangible, and measurable rippling effects on the local rural economy, as well as attracting tourism dollars, thereby reducing tax burdens on residents. However, my least favorite part of this project is the current polarization and politicization of electric vehicles. Unfortunately, some rural communities simply do not trust EVs, and that they feel proliferation of EVs will cause unwanted change to their town. Which brings me to one of my biggest eye-opening experiences. Like I said earlier, no matter how transformative, innovative, or pro-competition that we feel our initiatives may be, if you don't have the support of the community, if you don't immerse correctly, if you don't do it the right way, it will not work. For a bit of background, we had worked with a select few leaders in a town that we had identified as a target community that would receive a no-cost charger. We unfortunately and unintendedly had not included the right people at the table for our initial conversations. Once the news hit the proverbial grapevine and then the literal actual news, a key pillar of the community came out in stark opposition to the initiative in a very public forum. That person said, "There are no EVs in our town, now or ever, and the community will not support this project." At first I was taken aback. How could you possibly not support the project? This is so cool. This is going to help you so much. But then I began to think and realize, regardless of how transformative, innovative, and pro-competition the project is, that was their perception. And their perception is what matters most. Fortunately, we've been able to immerse and communicate the project since in the right way, and that charger will be installed soon. And I end on this story as an anecdote to really prove my entire point and to challenge you to keep the rural context and perceptions at top of mind when implementing any project. It, of course, is the right thing to do, but to be competitive in the long term, it must be done in the right way. Thank you very much.